What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the New Agent Podcast. I am your adorable and handsome host, Nick Overby. This is Justis Wilson. I know I didn't say I was going to intro that, and I kind of messed it up, but we're still going to roll with it because it sounds good.
Oh, okay.
So, guys, part of season 2, I am doing a new agent spotlight series, or an agent spotlight on different agents in the Den. As most of you who have watched my podcast, you know what the Den is. You know where we are right now. This behind us is a new wall that we just got painted, so why not be here? Because it's just badass.
Very cool.
And tonight I have got none other than Justis Wilson. Justice like the Justice League, right?
That's it. Or like the justice system. Will not screw you over, though.
No, that is very true. He is, man. So this is about candor, right? When you first walked in the door, I didn't know what to think about you.
I get that a lot.
I don't know if I like this guy. I don't know what. But you just had this, and I think, right, it's the demeanor you have, which is a great thing. You're confident about who you are. Mm-hmm. And I think, when you come into a room of salespeople, especially me, because I got like 35 years on you.
Sure.
We look down on the younger guys. No, but in all seriousness, man, you have completely flipped over, I think, any preconceived notion that anybody in this room might have had about you. And you did that with busting your ass and just being yourself.
I really appreciate that. And you're actually not the first person to tell me this. I probably can't count on one hand how many people have told me, we kind of thought you were an asshole when you first started here. and sure enough, everyone follows that up with but we like you now. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad that I could earn everybody's favor here. I like that.
Well, you did, man. And you did it just by busting your ass, by showing people you knew exactly what you said you knew. And I mean, the proof's in the pudding, dude. You put up numbers. We talk about it all the time on the Friday mornings and throwing people in the bucket, but you're constantly one of those people there. And that's extremely huge. And especially in an office and a culture like this, because we know this is very unique.
Absolutely.
So guys, I want to give Justis an opportunity to give anything and everything he wants to about himself, his past, his history. We'll start there, and then I want to talk to you about how you got here. I'd like to hear what this place has done for you over the past, 6 months or so you've been here?
6 months on the dot.
And just get an idea of what you learned. I have a lot of questions that I'll ask through this, but
Sure.
Ultimately, I kind of just want to hear how you started and go from there.
So my name is Justis. If you couldn't tell, I'm a child that doesn't know how to not touch mics. I'm 22 years old. I kind of grew up out in West Texas, kind of a country upbringing. I was raised that if you didn't either go to college and graduate or go into the military, that you weren't going to be much of a man. But luckily, I'm proving my parents wrong on that one. I went to college out in San Angelo on a full ride scholarship. I was going to study physics. I did study physics for a while. The whole plan was to go to Cambridge for my graduate school and just become a teacher and a researcher. But life had different plans for me. I ended up joining a fraternity and drinking away my scholarships. So I tried to go into the military. The military wouldn't take me. And so I was like, man, I guess I'm just going to get really acquainted with ramen noodles and get a part-time job. But no, after some trials and tribulations, I found myself and met a lot of very interesting people along the way that have inspired me and kind of taught me to be my full potential without having to conform to anybody else's idea of what I should be.
I love it, dude. And I think that is important here because this is, for me, I was telling Perry, this is one of the few places I feel like I can kind of be myself.
Yeah.
And I think here you can probably attest to the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
So San Angelo, okay, did you finish college?
No, definitely not. No, so I had 2 semesters.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Absolutely not. I had 2 semesters of physics and I did great in it. But then my 3rd semester, my father sat me down and told me that I should probably go after something a little more realistic, which was business. So I switched over to business, and that's when I joined a fraternity. And I was on a full ride scholarship. Both my parents paid their way through college, so the only way that I was going to pay for any sort of college is by getting some scholarships because they weren't going to do any of that. So I got a scholarship, full ride. Like I said, I was doing great while I was in physics, but as soon as I switched over to business, I just had no passion for it, at least the way that they taught it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't enjoy any of it. Mostly felt like either common sense or a foreign language. So I just kind of stopped going.
Okay. And when was this?
This was, I graduated in 2016. So 2017, 2018.
Okay. So where were you after that? What happened then?
So a little something you'll learn about me is that I'm very stubborn when it comes for asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
like real help, not like, oh, hey, what do I do in this situation? What do I do here? But like,
hey, I can't pay my rent next month. Can
yeah,
you loan me
exactly.
$1,000? Yeah, I got you.
It's very, very difficult for me to do that.
Yep.
So rather than admitting to my parents that I'd failed, I had $500 in my account. I spent $100 of that on a tent, and then used the rest of that for gas money to go get a job. And I was homeless for about 2 months. It wasn't that big of a deal. It didn't feel like I was homeless. It just felt like I was camping
Long
out.
camping trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just fun.
Okay.
But then I didn't actually tell my parents I'd moved back to Abilene until after I already had an apartment and 2 jobs.
And this is your parents live in Abilene?
Yes, they did. Yeah, so I was literally less than 20 miles from a warm home on a golf course, but I didn't want their help. So
hey man, no, I completely get that, and there's nothing, you shouldn't look down on yourself for that.
no, and I definitely don't, and I enjoy my time. When people feel sorry for me about living in a tent, yeah, like I said, it doesn't feel like it was a big deal.
Sounds like a hell of a fucking acid trip and an amazing journey. Or it could have been a hell of an acid
we had
trip.
a couple of those out there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
For sure. Definitely one of those free spirits.
Good.
But no, I mean, it was a good experience. It taught me how to grow the fuck up and be a man. I was 18 at the time, so I feel like that's a lesson that most guys don't learn until they're 24, 25.
Yeah. So sometimes it takes a little while longer.
Yeah.
Anywho, so you were in the car business before this, right?
I was, yes.
Okay. Tell us about that, because I'd be curious to know the transition from there to here.
Sure. So there's a lot of parallels that come along with it, or at least I thought that was the case when I first started here. So I was in the car business total for about a year and a half. I did pretty well in it. I was never someone who was comfortable lying to a lot of people. So, especially selling used cars, that can be a bit of a detriment, not being able to lie.
Yeah.
But I still did well enough. I mean, I was making more than any other 20, 21-year-old that was out there. And I mean, I had a fairly fun time doing it, but I didn't realize how stressful that job was until I came here. Like, don't get me wrong, this is one of the most difficult and stressful jobs I've ever done. But back at the car business, just imagine this plus a whole bunch of people constantly fucking ragging you, dogging on you, telling you that you aren't meeting quotas and that people that don't meet quotas don't stay in the office, things like that. And I mean, it was terrible because I was still a consistent producer. I was still doing my job very well. But they just have wildly unrealistic expectations of people. And it doesn't matter if you've sold more cars than anybody in the fucking company. You're still going to get dogged on because they want you to sell more.
Dude, that's got to probably inflict some sort of level of stress that is so uncomfortable and so just demoralizing.
It was, and I tell Perry this pretty frequently that I've been go for it.
Sorry, my Dave is out.
I've been successful at other jobs, and I've done well at other jobs, and I've been valuable to other employees, but I've never been congratulated or appreciated or had any sort of respect thrown my way. Even when I was in like management positions, there's no respect coming at the 22-year-old, and to come into an office and feel like you're kicking ass, and then having your boss, not even boss, but a guy you look up to, pull you into his office and say, hey man, we genuinely appreciate what you're doing here. You're going to be phenomenal, and you are part of the future of this company.
Hell yeah.
It really means the world.
It's a hell of a feeling too, isn't it?
It is.
To your point, man, I think that this business is very selfless. And I don't mean this business as in insurance. I mean, as in sales, right? As if you choose this as a lifestyle, or I'm sorry, as a career, especially in a commission only sales job, it's tough, man. It can be really tough. And then, when you're not, look, we're all human, man. At the end of the day, we can only self-motivate ourselves so much. And I mean, I don't care who the fuck you think you are, but like, if you think that being appreciated and and receiving accolades is not important, I'm sorry, I think that's crazy to me.
Agree. And now that I've seen that in a workplace, I know that eventually when I go off and I go do my own thing, because I mean, I love it here, but I want to have my own business eventually. I want to do my own thing eventually. And I think most people in the office feel the same way. But now that I've kind of seen that aspect of what a good leader can do and can show to his people that, hey, we do care about you. We are glad you're here. I mean, it just kind of changed my view on what business could be, because like I said, I didn't like business school. I didn't like any of the businesses that I've been a part of before, but this has given me a drive to not only do this on my own and feel the pride from being successful on my own, but I'll also have the ability to build my own team just like this and uplift people the way that I've been uplifted here.
You know, we're gonna segue into that in a second regarding like Perry and being here and what all that means. But there's something that always fun. There's a song that Eminem did. He's like, I didn't do it for the trophies. I just did it for the recognition.
Mhm.
And I think we're all here to prove something. Especially when we walk in the door and we think we know we're all badasses, and then we get the shit kicked out of us by Perry Lunsford or whatever it is, but in sales.
In his first week.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I mean, we're gonna all be all right
for sure.
So what has the Den done for you, man? I mean, you've been here for 6 months, right? I don't have much time on you. This place, I mean, and as everybody's watched, I won't talk about my journey here, but this place has changed my life 100%.
Absolutely.
And I talk about that all the time. It's undoubtable in my daily life and the way I am now. So I guess my question to you is, any specifics or talk about?
Do you have?
Yeah, let's go. I mean, hey, look, I've done hour-long podcasts. I've done 10-minute-long podcasts. It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, obviously the first thing, I mean, I kind of touched on it a little while ago, but one of the things that's really great about the Den so far is that, I mean, it's kind of pulled a leadership part of my body that I've never been able to, or part of my personality that I've never been able to capitalize on before.
Mhm.
And I'm not in leadership yet. That's my goal, is straight to leadership. I don't care about staying in my as my own writing agent and
Yeah, no.
making a lot of money. I want to be able to teach people, and I want to be able to grow the business. And I didn't realize, just in the short time that I've been here, and the little bit of knowledge that I do have of the industry, that I'm able to share that with all the new guys, and I'm able to just hold their hand through their first sale and see their eyes light up. They just fucking did it. They've been sitting here for 3 weeks with their thumbs up their ass, thinking that, what the hell did I do, leaving my full-time job where I was making $40,000 a year, and then sure as shit, they just hit a sale, and it doesn't matter how much it is. They just got a sale. They did it. They did the hardest thing they've ever done.
And they probably made more money off that one sale than they did an entire week or 2 weeks at their other job.
And that's very true. But I mean, even the money aside, the fact that they literally just tried the hardest thing in their life, and they stuck with it for 3 hours or 3 weeks to 4 weeks, 7-8 hour days every single day. I mean, that's just the feeling of accomplishment on people's face is extremely rewarding.
Go ahead. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
That's what I had to say. As far as elsewise, I mean, I've just found a family out here. I mean, I genuinely see several people in here as actual brothers and sisters, and I know that the next time I struggle, I'm gonna have people there that I'm okay with talking to and admitting that I need help. Maybe not even telling people that I need help, but allowing people to know my situation.
Yep, that was something for me, was becoming vulnerable. Perry pulled me aside a couple of weeks ago. I just went through some crazy weird shit, and it was like one of those times where one thing is bad, then everything becomes bad, and it's like the trickle down effect. I'm like, what the fuck?
Shit rolls downhill.
Super downhill. And all that being said, Perry pulled me aside and said, hey man, you need to know this, that regardless of whatever happens in your life, you will never have serious problems while you're here. And so, money will never be a problem. That's never an issue here. If this is your family, your health, that's something you got to do on your own, but you're never gonna be homeless. You're never gonna be without money. You're never gonna be in a position where like I got to worry about what I feed my kid tomorrow. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like that's never going to happen here.
Yeah.
Whether it's Perry, whether it's Taylor, whether it's you, Samari, whatever it is, like there's always somebody here. And that's what I love about this place. And for me, that's what's changed me. It's a crazy feeling to be here sometimes, because I look around and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And I get, no, I'm serious.
Well, is this 22-year-old asshole sitting next to me?
No. Well, that's the cool,
it's just, yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you this, man. I will say this about you and some of the younger guys. For me, you guys have made me, and it not a negative way, made me realize that I am old. And that's okay.
Oh,
that's okay. But hey, but look, that's
I didn't know that was
part
a good
of
thing.
life.
Yeah,
that's okay, right? And here's the thing: is that because I am older, I have the luxury of having experiences and knowledge that you guys don't have, right? And what I have to. And I've realized, this has literally been something I've realized over the past probably 4 days. It's really weird that I have to not necessarily be a child, right? And I'm not saying that you were children. What I'm saying is that I just because of my experiences, I've seen more shit, and you see things at a different level, and so I need to quit hanging out with the 22-year-olds, act like I'm 22 because it's bit me in my ass. But no, but you guys have taught me that.
Hang, old man.
Yeah, right. Fucking guy. What you guys have taught me seriously though, that youth is important, and I did not cherish mine like I think you guys are,
Sure.
which is really cool to see. And so for me, I think that's what's even cooler is that I can say, holy fuck, I messed a lot of shit up, and you guys were so fucking young. So just look, I mean, I'm old and decrepit. You guys all know that.
Yeah.
But I'm good at what I do.
Sure.
There's no doubt about that. And so I feel like there's a lot of value I can bring. So whether I'm old and handsome, I'm still bringing you value.
Absolutely.
That's right, bro. That's right. So let me ask you this, man. You seem to have a pretty interesting upbringing. Being here in the den now, what level of confidence or where do you see yourself going now that I think maybe you didn't earlier in the past? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it does, but it doesn't. It's not really a question that's applicable to me. So
because you always knew you were going to be awesome.
Yeah. In more humble words.
Okay.
So Perry actually pulled me aside and explained something about myself, which he has this weird thing.
Right. He has a weird way of doing. Yeah.
Yeah. He kind of teaches you something about yourself that you didn't know.
Very true.
And explains what it means. And he told me a story about his son, who they had just taken on a snowboarding trip. And one thing led to another, and his son busted ass and broke his arm. And on the way to the hospital, Perry was driving, and his son was like, "Man, these new snowboarders. This kid's been snowboarding for 2 days." And he's like, "Man, these new snowboarders, they just got in the way. They don't know what they're doing." And Perry's like, "You used to be one of those new snowboarders." And this kid goes, "Yeah, that's fair. I should cut him a break." And the fact that basically the moral of the story was this kid literally started doing something 2 days ago, and it didn't get into his head at any point in time that he didn't know what the hell he was doing, and that he wasn't the best in the world at whatever the hell he was doing. And he said, that's what you have as well. And my whole life, humility is something that's always been a positive thing. So I grew up in the church, very conservative family. So they always said, stay humble, kind of do your own thing, which I still agree with. I still think it's important to be humble at times. But I kind of expressed that to him. He's like, man, being humble has never made anybody rich.
Mm-hmm.
Being humble has never had anybody run a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you have after the success.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, stop being humble, stop pretending like you don't realize you're not going to fail, and just pull your fucking pants up and get it done.
Keep going.
Yeah. So it was never I don't know where I'm going. It was that changed about this job. One thing that did change is pull your fucking pants up, grow up, and start doing what you are meant to do. It was, that I will say I did take away from this job.
Fair enough.
Very early on.
So what I love to see here is the growth, right? I think it's really cool to not only open up new parts of the office, bring new people in, do new artwork, but it's cool to see how it allows people like yourself and like myself to grow. For me, 1% is a daily must, right? 1% growth on a daily basis is something I try to live by, even though I don't always do that. But that being said, man, I'd be curious to know, coming into this office and from where you were then to where you are now, what's probably the biggest thing you've learned?
That's a very good question. The biggest thing I've learned.
And I would say that in the sense of what has impacted you the most, like what has made the most profound change on you so far?
I think I have two different answers for those questions.
Let's hear both of them. Cool.
Okay. So the first one you asked is, what have I learned from the den? Right. What I would say I learned the most from the den is, just like we were talking earlier, that there's no reason that I shouldn't be successful, and that I'm surrounded by other successful people. And it's, I feel like I'm reiterating the same stuff, but it's a giant thing that's happened in my life, is just the fact that I'm surrounded by super successful people, and I know that I don't have to wait for success. That's also something that didn't really cross my mind, is that you don't have to wait to start your life. Us young people, we kind of just sit around and wait for life to happen. Wait for us.
Not just young people. I
guess,
too.
yeah, everybody kind of just sits around and waits for life to happen.
Absolutely does.
Rather than actually going out and living life. And then I think most people figure it out just before their 30s is that, oh shit, time isn't slowing down at all. I need to get this thing going. But I mean, here, day one, I mean, they just kind of threw me in the water and into sink or swim kind of thing. And that made me realize that my life begins when I decide it begins. And so I'd better start. But I would say the thing that's impacted me the most is being around people that are as positive and are as loving and are as kind as I see myself, which is a lot.
It's huge, man. It's funny. I was talking to Perry today, and he asked me, "What's your superpower?" We were talking about that, and I said, "For me, it's being a good person." And I know that sounds, excuse me, silly, but for me, it's just trying to do the right thing. Because you know what, I don't sleep good as it is. The last thing I need to do is lose sleep over, wondering if my actions have hurt somebody. And you know what's great is that for me, man, and one of the reasons why I do this is because I need constant reminders of. I'm kind of a fuck up, and this place for me has been a place where being a fuck up is okay, and I could be good at it, and make money doing it a little bit. And I don't know, man. I'm thankful to be able to do this, be able to. I don't know. I got away from my superpower, but anyways,
it's all good. Right. One thing that I actually find really cool about this place is, so when I first interviewed here, they called it the Island of Misfit Toys, and like I was like, oh yeah, so everybody's kind of a little weird and everyone's weird together, but it's a little more than that, because like every other job that I've come into, I've kind of just copycatted the emotion that was going on, or the kind of the central theme that everybody had. So I would kind of just chameleon in with everybody else's attitude and personality. But here we all get along and we're all wildly different people. Like I would never thought that I would be hanging out with Anna and new Matt at the same time, but then sure enough, 2 weeks later, we're all hanging out, doing things.
It's crazy,
illicit things.
Yeah, you should name names if you're going to talk about stuff like that.
Oh, damn! Can I?
No, you can't retract that. I mean, I can bleep it out for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that.
Please
we will
do that.
definitely do that.
I wasn't thinking about that. Sorry, guys.
No, hey, look. I mean, look. I've done. If anybody that knows me that's watching the show, I've been doing this for 7 months. I've talked a lot about drugs and what I've done, and I mean, shit. That's just part of what that's infested in this culture of sales.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what office you go to. No, you're good, man.
We'll retract that. But regardless, I mean, back to the point.
I'll just bleep their names out.
That's cool. That's cool. But regardless, like these are two wildly different people that in any other normal interaction in life, these people would never be connected, especially not with me as well. But then sure enough, we're all just hanging out doing
and then
fun things.
Add Taylor Poe to the mix.
And then Taylor Poe is the most drastically changed human being I've ever heard of.
Yes.
He's been through a lot of lives in his 48 years.
Because it just
yeah.
I'll bleep it out if you want me to.
Oh, my apologies.
So,
man, I got a problem with dropping names.
So erase Taylor Poe from all of the audio.
Taylor Poe does not exist. Okay. He's serious.
Yeah, no, he did have a little bit of serious tone towards the threatening of lawsuits. So I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead.
Yeah, no more names allowed with the jobs. I'm so sorry. I'm just ratting everybody out.
I know. I normally don't talk about people's names. And on that note, no. But seriously though, so we are at the 30-minute mark. I don't want to, I try to keep it 30 minutes. I think that's a pretty concise timeline. I mean, because I noticed that most people kind of fall off of 15 minutes. Everybody's got shit to do. So
understood.
Any last final parting words?
This was fun, and I don't like the way that my voice sounds on microphones.
Have you ever heard yourself recorded besides like on a phone?
I really hate how I sound on a phone. On this, I kind of feel like Janis Joplin. Got that crackly voice.
I think honestly, it takes time just learning how to talk into the microphone. For me, I don't know. It takes a while. And that
I can put on my radio announcer voice. Did I ever tell you about my CC's job?
Like CC's Pizza?
My final parting words. I was a manager at CC's Pizza, and when we would call out a pizza, we had these little slogans that we had to say. So we would make fun of it and like say them really sexually and like, "Yeehaw, barbecue on the buffet." We had a lot of those, but we were really, really good at being really loud about them, and it would make all the guests feel uncomfortable, and it was my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, I love awkward. I love awkwardness.
It was
Awkwardness
a lot of
is fun. All right, well, thanks for those parting words. Anywho, guys, hey, no, seriously though, man, look, anytime anybody can dedicate 30 minutes of their day to fooling off for me on the podcast,
Yeah.
well, that sounded weird. Spending some time
you
with
off
me on the
anytime.
podcast. I just want to tell you, I do kindly appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Do everything and anything you can to share the shit out of this so we can get more views, because that's always cool.
Sure.
And I want to say thank you to everybody that pays attention, that watches, that really gives a shit. That really means a lot to me. And look forward to showing or spotlighting more agents. And thank you again, my friend.
Absolutely.
Later, brother. Have a good night.
See you, bud.
Cheers.